friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me doing the Finally Fall book tag, which will be a callback to me doing, it says a year on the video, but I'm pretty sure it's been 2 years by now. I did it back in like November of 2019. Definitely time for a little bit of a reboot. But if you guys enjoyed these videos and want me to do more, hit like, subscribe, and comment, and let's just get into the video. So as usual, I was tagged by Andrea, so I will leave her link down below as well as the original creator if I can find them. All the questions and books that I have mentioned, if I have a review for them as well, will also be down below. The first question is, in the fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. The book that I'm going to have to go with is a series that I started earlier this year, I want to say. Yeah, and I need to continue. But that book is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. This is an adult high fantasy novel, kind of. Think about it as like Harry Potter meets Narnia, and then you just inject them both with a lot of crack. It's really the only way I can say it. But Quentin Coldwater is kind of a little nerd. He's obsessed with these books that surround a magical place called Fillory. He doesn't think they exist, that is, until one day he then is summoned to go take the preliminary exams at Brakebills, which reveals him to be a magician. And as he attends this school, he realizes that his favorite fictional world is actually real, and he has an opportunity to go to it. I love the TV show. I love the TV show. I need to finish it. But I finally picked up the series, and I want to continue with it, but this has such a vivid setting because it's like, it's something you're familiar with. You're familiar with the concept of discovering that you're not yourself, you're going to school somewhere magical, and that you have the ability to transport between dimensions, and you're a hero or a proclaimed hero in this current dimension. So it's very interesting. I really enjoyed this series. I need to pick up the continuation, but I think it has a very vivid setting because, again, we know what this is supposed to look like, so it's not very difficult for us to figure out kind of the specific little nuances of like how the school should look like, or how we imagine this, and this. And I think Lev Grossman also does a good job of describing the places and also making you feel very immersed because Quentin's point of view is very limited, but still oh so good. Question number 2 is, nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but deals with topics such as grief and loss. I'm gonna have to go with Sadie by Courtney Summers. I read this a while ago. I think I might have mentioned it in the original Finally Fall tag. I could be wrong, but I read this via audiobook, which I think is the best way to go. I still don't own a physical copy, so I'll probably be adding that to my Amazon wish list if anyone wants to buy me a Christmas present. But this deals with such heavy topics like grief and loss. This is told in dual perspective. One is following a podcaster who's trying to figure out what happened to Sadie, and then the other point of view is Sadie herself as she runs away from home and tries to figure out what happened to her sister exactly. Totally heartbreaking, and there's a lot of loss and grief that Sadie has to deal with, and the trauma behind that. And I highly recommend this book if you guys haven't read it yet. It was a pretty big thing on BookTube, so I feel like you should have heard of it by now. But I highly recommend it. It's so good, it's so great, and I think, oh, I lost my train of thought. There are a lot of trigger warnings for this. There is death, child abuse, implied sexual assault. I believe there is actually unpaid sexual assault. I don't exactly know. Among other things, I have my Goodreads review, which has the full trigger warning list for that link down below for you guys. So feel free to check that out, and I'm sure you guys will be able to get through. But I highly recommend this book. I think it's as an audiobook, it does really well, specifically with the fact that it is supposed to be told in a podcast format, so there is like extra sounds that just create an ambiance, and I think it does a really good job of doing that. Question number 3 is, fall means school time. School is back in session. Name a nonfiction book that you have learned something from or taught you something new. I'm gonna have to go with a book that I already mentioned in my wrap-up a couple weeks ago. That's gonna be Women, Race, and Class by Angela Davis. Great, wonderful read. I highly recommend it. It's basically just discussing the disparities between how Black people are treated in terms of feminism, class, and in just terms of race in general. She does a wonderful job of interlacing communist ideas. I learned a lot, and I did a live show on it, so I'll leave that link down below where you can literally watch my face as I learn about said topic. It's so good. I will be picking up more of Angela Davis's work. I will say though that if you are trying to like slowly lean into your feminist and anti-racist journey. This is not a beginner book, so I probably wouldn't recommend it for beginners, but if you are a little bit more advanced and want to continue with your reading, highly recommend it. I happen to fall in the middle, so this was a whirlwind, but a very good one. Question 4 is, in order to keep warm, you have to spend time with loved ones. Name a bookish family or friend group that you would like to be a part of. Don't remember what I answered last time for this one. It probably was a Shadowhunter related thing, so unfortunately I'm going to have to be repetitive in a sense and go with Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is the spin-off to the Infernal Devices, where we get to see the Edwardian era and their children, you know, get into shenanigans. I think out of all the groups of the Shadowhunters, this is probably like one of my favorites, hands down. I just think that Cassie Clare has stepped up her ability to create banter and strong relationships and just strong characters with their own kind of very different stories and backstory, their own stories and values and personalities, and I absolutely love it. It also fits the very fall theme, and we match. But I genuinely, it's one of, I would love to be part of this group of ragtag teens, even though I am no longer a ragtag teen. It's genuinely like, this group is one of my favorite groups to be a part of, to read, and like probably will be taking the top spot for favorite Shadowhunter series, with the Infernal Devices close behind. Question 5 is, the leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a stack of books that have fall themed spines. I think I have a fairly decent spine thing here. I could be wrong. I did include a couple of like yellows and like purples and reds and some oranges in here, but here we go. Okay, I think this is pretty fall because like there's a lot of yellows, and then like, yeah, but this is Torch Against the Night, the Spellbook of Lost and Found, City of Fallen Angels, Gathering of Shadows, Poisoned in Light. Then we have volume 3 of Sweep, and then Kingdom of Ash. So I think this looks kind of fallish, right? Question 6 is, fall is a perfect time to be telling stories by the fireside. Name a book where someone is telling a story. I'm gonna have to go with The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. I read this earlier this year. This is a YA high fantasy, following young Thea, who finds that she's a bone witch one year and is sent off to get training, because not only is the bone witch kind of like ostracized because of their powers, but they're also very rare. As she's enjoying her training and putting her all into it and learning more and more, she finds out that there's a looming war between kingdoms, and she is now somehow smack in the middle of it. This is told in dual perspective, sort of. I believe this is definitely told, like, it's definitely past Thea talking about present, about the Thea that we are currently reading of. So it is her telling a story about what happened to her and what is happening. I don't remember how far the time jump is, but I will need to pick up the rest of the books before I can offer that specific number for you. This is definitely one of my favorites of the year, like hands down. So if you guys haven't read it, this is a good time to pick it up because it is also quite spooky. Question 7 is, the nights are getting darker. Name a dark and creepy read. I'm gonna have to go with a book I literally finished like last week. I'm not gonna give too much details about it because I have a wrap up to do and a vlog, so if you guys want to read that. But that book's gonna have to be The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This is an adult thriller following a young therapist who has followed this specific case for the better part of his life, and that is this young woman named Alice ends up killing her husband and then going silent shortly after, and he is now tasked with finding out what happened. I am still processing this twist, and I can't tell whether or not I liked it or not, but I'm processing this twist. Is the only thing I can really say, is that I am still processing. It's been like a week and I'm still processing. Question 8 is, the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm somebody's cold and rainy day. I'm gonna have to go with Blanca y Roja, or Blanca and Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. This is a YA magical realism following these two young sisters who have been pitted against each other their entire lives. The reason for that is that on the eve of their 15th birthdays, these magical swans who have cursed their family will come and take a sister away and turn her into a swan. This book made me feel things. it's definitely a lot sadder in the beginning, leading up to the end, but I think the ending is very heartwarming and just tells the story of the love between sisters and generational traumas and curses placed upon families who aren't willing to take the extra steps to heal from that, which tends to leave the newer and younger generations to fix it. It's such a good book. Anne Marie McLemore can do no wrong with their writing. They just know how to craft a story that is not only heartbreaking but will warm your heart in the end. And the chef's kiss. And I highly recommend this book if you guys have not picked it up, or just in general, highly recommend Anne Marie McLemore as an author. Question 9 is fall returns every year. Name a book that you would like to return to this year. I'm going to have to name a book that I read last year, and that's going to have to be The Beautiful by Renee Adjei. This is a YA historical fantasy following young Celine, who runs away from Paris to New Orleans to start a new life. That is until she meets a couple of some interesting characters that leads her life down a specific way that she was not anticipating. I am reading the second book for Trick or Treat-a-thon. I'm probably going to pick that up soon after I pick up and read Mexican Gothic. But this was one of my favorites of the year. I was very hesitant to pick it up because I read, what was the one? A Flame in the Mist by Renee Adjei when it first came out, and I was very underwhelmed. But I think this was beautiful, and I loved it so much. It's so good, and I have not been able to stop thinking about it since I read it, which was literally a year ago. 10 is fall is the perfect time for cozy things. Name some of your favorite reading accessories. I'm gonna have to go with a pair of nice fuzzy socks. Here's one of my favorite pairs. I need to buy more fuzzy socks because they're getting old and falling apart. Like, these guys don't really fit around my ankles very well anymore because they're so stretched out. I love a blanket. I love heated blankets, but I always seem to break it in like 2 seconds, so I stopped buying them. Let me grab one of my other favorite accessories who just walked in the room. Alrighty. The last accessory is one of my cats. They're just very warm. Nico hasn't been on camera, I think, directly in front of the camera since he was a kitten, since he was a little demonic purr box. So here's Nico de Pico, Nico de Gallo. I love cuddling with my cats when I'm reading. They're just so warm. I wanted to show the guy Sherman, but Sherman saw me coming and like ran around, and I was like, I'm not in the mood to trip. So it's fine. Now I'm going to tag a couple people to do this tag. I'll go ahead and tag Connor from Connor Stampanato, favorite of this channel. Then the next one is Armin from Armin Reads, another favorite. So I will leave their channels linked down below, as well as Andrew's and the questions and the books and reviews that I have mentioned. But until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully this week is going super well for you guys. And if not, it's only, well, this will come out next Monday. Yeah, so it's only Monday, so hopefully the rest of the week is better for you. But until next time, bye.